is Andrea Morse, and I'm the Interim Assistant Director of Study Abroad at UW-Stout in the Office of International Education. While we are not able to travel quite yet, now is a perfect time to consider your study abroad options as part of your future at UW-Stout. Today I'll be highlighting a program where students will spend 17 days in Kenya and Tanzania, leaving on May 17th and returning on June 5th, 2021. However, you should expect to complete coursework after the trip as well, continuing until June 30th. Students will have the opportunity to complete 6 credits while exploring ethics and law in Kenya and Tanzania. The first course is BUMGT 235, Management Ethics. That fits in the program plan for the Business Administration major and the Entrepreneurship and Innovation minor, and will satisfy a Gen Ed requirement in the Social Responsibility and Ethical Reasoning category. The second course is BULGL 318, Business Law 1, and fits in the program plan for Applied Math and Computer Science, Business Administration, Health, Wellness and Fitness, Marketing and Business Education, Supply Chain Management, and the Project Management and Lodging Management minors. The program is open to students who have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 or above and who are sophomore level or higher. The program will be led by Dr. Brian Nowenga, who is from Kenya, and Mr. Scott Vaver. I am excited that they are here to speak about the program in a moment. Students will travel within Kenya and Tanzania, Tanzania, to visit businesses, educational and cultural sites such as Nairobi, Masai Mara, Strathmore and Kabarak universities, national parks, the Equator, the Great Rift Valley, Lake Victoria, Fort Jesus, Mount Kilimanjaro, and enjoy a farm tour and a visit with the governor. We will talk more about these locations in our session with the faculty. A company called Ascent Tours and Safaris will be organizing the program itinerary. They are also the logistics experts, providing guidance on where you'll stay, where you'll eat, and how you'll get from place to place. They will have staff available while you're in Kenya and Tanzania to help everything run as smoothly as possible, to be there to help in case of emergencies. With that, I have a few questions for Brian and Scott that will help students to learn more about the program. So Scott, I'll start with you. Would you share how the idea for this program came about and why Kenya and Tanzania were chosen as the destinations?
Well, thank you, Andrea, for the nice overview of the classes and everything. How this came about actually extends back to about 2014 for me. I was working with YALI for 2 years, 2014 and 15, Young African Leadership Initiative. And that led me to doing some additional consulting and work with universities in East Africa. And through that, I met lots of extra people, new people that even were outside of the YALI network, which fast forwarding is what brought the governor to Stout in November of 2019. And students that were at that workshop or that speech may recall me saying, this is just the beginning of our relationship in East Africa. And so this is that second step to that relationship in East Africa, this study abroad to allow students exposure to a lot of new experiences, things that I'm sure that we'll cover throughout this presentation. So that's kind of how we got here.
Great, thank you. And Brian, how will students learn about business law throughout the program, and what are the specific outcomes for your course?
Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for that wonderful overview, and my great friend, Professor Scott Vaver, who we are teaming together for this trip. Yeah, students will have a great learning opportunities. Firstly, the U.S. Legal system and the Kenyan legal system are both of common jurisprudence, common law jurisprudence, which kind of gives a good kind of basis that the learning outcomes at the end of the day will be very similar. But with going to Kenya, students will be immersed in a certain kind of diverse culture where we'll use the cultural kind of experiences. We'll be learning as we go. We'll be partnering with other students from other colleges. They can learn from peer to peer. We'll get to a court of law and they'll get to see how the court sessions run there. We'll get to see other kind of wonderful sites. And in the process, they will be looking at how the businesses interact with the law. And even as you cross the borders to Tanzania, to Kenya, and back to Kenya, again, they will be learning objectives right there from the legal perspective. Above all, you will realize that by going in this kind of trip, the students will really have a great, real life experiences intertwined with the kind of learning objectives of the course. I might also add that in 2015, I led a group of students to India. There were 8 of them, and the kind of learning experiences they had from there was very, very groundbreaking and eye-opening, using their own words. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you, Brian. And Scott, how do you anticipate students will learn about management ethics throughout the program, and what are the specific outcomes for your course?
When I look at the class, and most of the time when we teach something like this on campus, we just look at business and we look at managers in America, and this gives us an opportunity to compare and contrast that, because I'm still going to talk about America because I do want people to be able to see 2 different sides, and things are done a little bit differently. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, like Brian said, with law, but there are certainly different ways they handle things. So some of the things that I'm excited to do with students include the exposure to the different business atmospheres in Kenya. And what makes that really a lot of fun is that many of these companies are companies that these students already know from the U.S., such as like an Oracle. So they're companies that are originally founded in the U.S., but have a presence in another country. So they can see how these different managers and employees interact and how businesses develop there. And we'll take that a step further into the ethical realm on the decision making. So I'll take concepts that we talk about in class and apply it to the processes these businesses follow. Another really fun thing that we'll do there, and I call it the bargaining lesson, and that is going to markets like Maasai Market, where they can learn how a system of bargaining and trade of money, and in fact, in some instances, people have even traded other things they have for something. So bartering can play and the ethical issues that can come up with that, because there are issues. There are many different types of stands and many people selling the same things, so they can work with all these different types of people. So I think that'll bring a kind of a unique flavor that we definitely would not get in the classroom. Business incubation labs. Kenya has some incredible business incubation labs where young entrepreneurs are starting to develop businesses, and they'll have an opportunity to tour those and talk to young entrepreneurs about the challenges they face in the business climate there. And I'll really be targeting the cross-country differences, since we are going to go from one end of Kenya southwest to the southeast end and northern Tanzania. There's going to be a lot of cross-cultural differences, and because they're going to get exposed to all these different businesses and colleges too. We haven't even touched on that. We're going to tour colleges too. They're going to get an opportunity to get a real eye-opening experience to all of those.
Excellent. That sounds exciting. So before we talk about the locations that you'll visit, I wanted to take a minute to talk about the cost. Now the total estimated cost is $8,385, which includes the program fee of $7,250. The program fee covers tuition and fees for 6 credits. Airfare, local transportation, accommodation, cultural events, and some meals. So the total cost also includes about $1,135 for out-of-pocket expenses, such as the OIE application fee, airline baggage fees, some of the meals that are on your own, a visa, passport, and spending money for souvenirs. Finally, we remember that we have a great section on our website called Finances, where you can learn about your options to use financial aid, apply for loans, and use scholarships and crowdfunding sites to finance your experience. And in the summer, if you are taking 6 credits, then you can take advantage of financial aid if you are eligible for that. Okay, now let's look at some of the places you'll be visiting on this program while we chat with Brian and Scott a bit more. While Brian is from Kenya, Scott, you've had significant experience in East Africa as well. What is your experience in Kenya and Tanzania?
I've been there several times, and every trip is unique. Every trip offers something new. I think some of my favorite places are very stereotypical, like Masai Mara, where you might see the animals, and there's many pictures that are available to look at. I think that's one of my favorite places. Probably my favorite place, as Brian would laugh at, is Mombasa, because I love the ocean. So, but within that, I think some of the most interesting things you can experience are the people, the opportunities to meet with different types of people, such as the governor in Kisumu County, who is at Stout, as I mentioned earlier. I also think that visiting the freshwater lake in Kisumu is an interesting cultural experience. I think visiting college students at respective college campuses could be a real treat for students at Stout, to be able to ask them questions about what education is like there. What are the classes like? What do they learn? I think they're going to find it surprisingly similar. And I think that even, I joke about Mombasa and whatnot, but there are excellent places like Fort Jesus, which you announced earlier, an incredible place to visit, and one that I would encourage all the students to soak up the history and deep-rooted legal and ethical discussions that would come out of visits such as that. I could go on and on, Great Rift Valley, all sorts of stuff, but I think some of it will be best left to their exploration when they get there.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And Brian, can you tell us about Ascent Tours and Safaris and how they will support the program while in Kenya and Tanzania?
Well, thank you again, Andrea, for that question. Ascent Tours and Safaris is a tour company that will take us through the hoops and the obstacles and the fun and everything that we want to experience. When I say the obstacles, I have in mind that we are going to have fun where we can give each other challenges. For example, who can bargain better when you are going to the market, and Scott will be there to guide you on how to bargain through that obstacle, and you can get what you want to buy in a nice way. Of course, we have Mombasa, where you can have a lot of fun in swimming. For those who love swimming, it's a white sand swimming. So the tour company will be our chaperone in this particular area and guide us through all that we need. We're in Kenya. And it also will include going to the marketplaces where you meet Mama Mboga. Mama Mboga is the women who sell things, like you see one on the picture right there. And we are going to go to the parks like Lake Nakuru, where you see the flamingos, all right? And then enjoy the sights. Go to Masai Mara, is one of the world wonders, where you have millions and millions of wild beasts crossing from Tanzania to Kenya for holiday, and they go back. So it's kind of fun. We call it a safari. It's a safari. A safari is the idea of having fun on various nice tourist areas. And there are so many. So the tour company, Ascent Tours, will be our caretaker in many ways and guiding us on the choice of meals. They will be supplying our breakfast and lunches, dinners and some lunches, yes, through the hotels they will book for us. And being that I am originally from Kenya personally, of course, it goes without saying that I also come in handy to making sure that the other aspects of the journey is taken care of. to making sure everybody is safe, to making sure everybody has fun, to make sure that we can go to the right places. And by the time we are done with the tour and coming back to America, I believe that it will be an experience of our lifetime. It will be an experience we like to have again, in the near future. That is the ultimate goal of Ascent Tours, and that will be the ultimate goal of us. And also don't forget that it's an educational tour, and therefore the learning will also be one of the central reasons why as we go around, we should be learning as we go as well. So thank you so much, and I believe that all of us are gonna have fun as we go. In fact, I never knew that Kenya was fun until I came to the US. I've been here for now 10 years. Now, since I came to Kenya, you'll be surprised to know, these are secrets I don't tell people. I never went to Masai Mara before I came to America. But ever since I came to America, I've been there more than 3 times. And all those times I was led by my friend here, Scott Weber, and I'm sure he's excited, just like as I am, to show you the fun in Kenya, in Masai Mara, and also the learning process in our 2 courses that we should be leading. And I believe it will be a worthwhile trip to make. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. And Brian, can you also share a little bit about where students will be staying and what they can expect with accommodations?
Well, the accommodations will be organized in various hotels. And from what I know is that we have hotels like White Sands Hotel in Mombasa. And when we went there with some of the people before, they even extended the stay. It's a very good kind of hotel. You can Google search there. White Sands Hotel is a wonderful place. We are going to have up market kind of hotels. We may call them 3-star and above. Occasionally, we can also organize where you meet homes, people where you can go and visit and you can really experience the culture. But mainly, our stay will be in hotels, and the hotels are very well, established and upmarket. Maybe Scott, being a tourist, he's been there twice or more. He can share his own personal experience from the perspective of an outsider, because I may be speaking when we have an experience right there. And in some of the hotels, Scott has actually been there, and some of them it seems recommended. So he better tell us more on why he recommended some of those hotels.
Well, I can speak real quick to it, Andrea. I've been there 4 times now, and into other countries in Africa as well. Yeah, all the hotels that we'll stay in are what I would constitute as very similar to what you'd experience in the U.S. Of course, when you're in Masai Mara, it might be a little bit different because we are in the 19,000 square kilometers of open land. But in general, most of them, like for example, you mentioned White Sands, that's a 4-star on the low end. It's probably 4.5 star.
It's like it's 5.
Is it 5? Yeah.
Yes, it's 5.
It's a really fantastic. I mean, some of these places you're gonna want to walk because you're not gonna stop eating. So there's some very, very good food and whatnot. So accommodations will be very good. They'll like them. Invariably, for most tourists that come, the very first question they ask me is, what is the electricity like? And really these types of hotels all have generators and stuff. So for students, I don't want them to freak out like, oh my God, we're going to be without power. That's really not going to be a big issue. In fact, I think, Brian, the last 2 times I've been there, we haven't had a power outage at all. So right. Yeah, no, they'll enjoy it. They'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I have no doubt, really. If you did enjoy, and I do enjoy, of course, it will be wonderful. And yes, we'll want to, and again, they are flexible. If they find, because when I spoke to Ascent, I said, if we find some places not, fun enough, they can always shift and get a different flavor of whatever they like. But overall, it will be a wonderful experience. The safety will be assured, and of course, the hygiene level will be very good, and of course, the interaction will be one of a kind. And of course, with COVID here or there will be also another added kind of concerns and the more preparation so that everybody's stay is done in a safe and a very, very authentic way. Thank you.
Thank you. And since you had mentioned the food, can you share a little bit about the food and what students can expect?
Well, I can start that.
I love food. I may talk forever, so let Scott go for this one.
I mean, I'll keep this brief, but the food is very, very good. For those people that like organic, that's what it's going to be.
Right.
That's not the, in the United States, organic is the alternative. In Kenya and Tanzania, organic is the rule. So it's different from that. So like, I think the best way you can see the differences is actually chicken. So everybody here is really used to these big plump chicken breasts or fat chicken legs and all that. They aren't fat chickens in Kenya. They're free-range chickens. There's no growth hormones or anything like that. So when you get a chicken, well, they don't sell necessarily packages of chicken breasts quite like we do here. But when you get a chicken leg, you actually, I say you have to eat 2 chicken legs to get 1 chicken leg in the US. But here's the difference. It's extremely healthy, and you never ever leave thinking, I don't feel so well, because there's no hormones. And so all the food is like that from top to bottom, no matter where you go. So, and chicken is a staple food, but there's also lots of other things to try, like the Kenyan cake, there's all sorts of things, and fish is another big staple. When we go to Kisumu, we would have fresh fish, I suspect. Lots of opportunities like that, and in the restaurants like the White Sands, for example, those are world-class chefs at White Sands. So you're going to get a lot of that same type of stuff, but they're going to have a lot of extra things too. Again, still all organic though. Still all organic. Brian, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, well, all I have to add is that, Kenya has 42 tribes plus, and every tribe have their unique type of food. So because it will be a culture study of law and ethics, there's a lot of connection between culture, ethics, and law in many ways. And so is in food. You will see a lot of foods connected to a certain culture. Like you had Scott mention Kisumu. The tribe that is in Kisumu is Luo. And the moment you mention Luo, in the Kenyan lingo, you are synonymous talking about fish, almost. And therefore, when you talk about Kisi people, you are talking about ugali, the cake he was referring to is corn. It's basically a corn kind of type of meal. And then there's a lot of vegetables. And guess what? We have a special menu, we call it nyama choma. Nyama choma is translated to mean meat roasting. If you come out of Kenya without testing the meat roasting experience, then you are not in Kenya. You are not in Tanzania. You are somewhere else. So that's one other aspect of the food that actually you are going to enjoy, and really very good. And we can also attempt where we can include where you can have a bit of, someone to teach you how to cook certain kind of food in case you so choose. We can get a chef here and there, and then we can show you how the food is prepared, or you can observe as one of the learning experiences as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're about out of time, but Brian and Scott, to wrap up, I wanted to ask, what aspect of the program are you most looking forward to?
I can start real quick. I think it's taking students and giving them an opportunity to be exposed to something that I suspect they never have been before. The culture, the people. I think that there's a lot of stereotypes, and I think a lot of those stereotypes will be broken in 17 days. I think they'll be broken in 3 days, but certainly over 17 days they're going to be broken, and they're going to find that Africa really almost could be a second home for many people, and I will add, is a first or second home for many people from Canada, Britain, Australia, and the US. There are a lot of things there, and it's a beautiful place. beautiful experience. And I can say without a doubt, for the many people I brought along, not a single person has regretted 1 minute they've been there. It's an incredible opportunity.
Well, for me, it is the discovery. As Scott said earlier, once you are in Kenya, you will discover some things that I discovered things personally, even after growing up in Kenya and coming to the US, I realized there's some things I didn't know about Kenya. And so that discovery aspect and the feeling, wow, I didn't know about XYZ. There are so many things, including how we have the slave trade, route, which was part of in Fort Jesus in Mombasa. And then you talk about Mount Kilimanjaro for those who want to go and climb the mountain. All right, they better start practicing now. And for those who are going to enjoy some kind of delicacies, and even the language, and even going to actually, negotiate or bargain in the marketplace. So for me, it's hard to choose what would be really one of the top. That's a very difficult question. But overall, I want to see my students or our students, after they have gone all through, I can't wait for the feedback. That's what I want to really listen and see what they would have gathered through the experience. And also, don't forget, Obama's dad came from Kenya, not too far from Kisumu. So we may have had to ask Scott to show us the way. He may know the way where Obama's dad was. It's Kogelo, not too far from Kisumu. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, thank you. This was great. I really appreciate your time today. To learn more and apply to the program, you can go to UW-Stout /study abroad. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Andrea.